Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGameLLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be taking a look at Vindication, the adventure board game that's a tabletop journey for 2 to 5 players by Orange Nebula. And now this includes all current expansion content as of March 2021, all in a single box. Now the box does have a little bit of lid lift. It's got about maybe a couple millimeters here, but is not super crazy. So everything is condensed, but we did do a little bit of modification, as you'll see, to the insert that it comes with. So without further ado, let's take a look at what's inside. So first off, we lift off that top, and you'll notice right off the bat, the board is on top here, and it's got this unique shape to it, which makes it a little challenging to organize, but luckily we have this nice box here, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But first off, you're gonna have the board on top here laying across everything. Now the next thing that you're going to put is the expansion here from the Odyssey, from the World box, and this is the one that comes with the mat. You'll notice the mat is not in here because there's just no way that's going to fit in here. So the mat is a separate thing. Now you can order just the Odyssey content from the most recent Kickstarter, so you don't necessarily need the mat. In addition, under here we've got the patch and the sticker that comes with the Odyssey mat. You've got additional sleeves. I use the Fantasy Flight blue sleeves. Now, these are no longer in stock, so you'll need to find an alternative. They are currently offering sleeves on their Kickstarter. On the right here, you have all of the solo fire components, as well as the standees, if you'd like to use these instead of the metal components. And then you have all of the rule books, the visual guide, and the lore book, the art and lore. Those will all just go straight on top of here, these trays. Underneath that section, you're going to have the extra board for the monster expansion for the Myths and Wonders, as well as the board for the solo expansion, and then the rules for the solo expansion. They're all just going to stack in one here. Underneath that, you'll have this organization tray that comes with the game, and this is going to hold all of your components. They fit very nicely here. You're going to have the different tokens here. You'll separate them by not colors, but by groups, because based on the player count, you're going to need one of each color. So you can just simply grab the whole stack. You've got the gems here, you've got the metal coins, you've got the endgame trigger markers, your dice, and then your black cubes in case you're playing a solo mode, or if you're using the expansions that require the black cubes. So some of the bad cards use them. So some spaces are not used, but maybe they'll get filled in future expansions. So that's this tray here. Really nice organizer here. The next thing we got is the Scumbag is going to be rolled up to the side. And this is going to be your tile bag, the larger one. And then on the left here, you have your smaller Scumbag. And I use this Scumbag to actually hold some of those tokens. So if you're playing with the Wishing Well token, the Wishing Well card, you can have the Wishing Well tokens in here, and that way they're ready to go. So I don't think they need to be in that other box, but it's a great use for the other Scumbag. On the right here, you have the additional dice. Now these are for the Allies and Leaders expansion, and then also if you're using the solo mode, this is specifically for the solo mode. So those fit in this nice little notch here on the bottom. In addition, you have all these notches that are going to hold your tiles. So these are the tiles that you're going to put into that purple Scumbag. And you've got a large variety to choose from. So I generally keep all of the expansion tiles in one stack on this side. That way you can guarantee, kind of keep your stuff that you like playing with on these bottom two. And that way you're always playing with those. You've got lots of spots for the different monuments miniatures here. You've got the 2 tuk-tuk models. The extra one you're just kind of put on top of the other. So you've got one space that is allotted for one model, and you'll put him here. And then you'll take the additional model and just kind of lay him on top. He fits really nicely if you just do that, and he kind of actually goes into the other really well. So that works really nicely. On the left here, you've got all of the player trays, and these are super nice, and I'll show you how I organize one of these. So inside of these player trays, you're gonna have all of the components for one faction. So you'll open up the top here, and you'll see you've got the Wretched, and you got your Vindicated version on the back here. You've got your triangle marker for the triangle expansion. Now I did throw out a lot of the cardboard components because frankly you just don't need them if you have the metal versions. So you've got the extra movement upgrades, And then you have all of your tokens. So very important, as you can see, there's room for some of the cubes at the top here. This is so that all your pieces will fit in here. Now, it's pretty straightforward to get them out. You can always just dump them if you're having trouble getting them out, but they're right here. So these are for the Allies expansion particularly. This is your score marker, you've got your movement, and then that extra ability marker for the triangle expansion. So that's everything for organization for the players, and you can just simply cover those with the movement pieces. You'll put the triangle back on top, and then you'll put your character reminder up here to show if you're wretched or if you're vindicated. So you've got all those pieces there. Underneath here, you're gonna have all of the personal player boards, and those all just kind of go in a very nice stack. So you have all of your monument boards. You've got your different player boards to hold your influence and your potential and conviction. And then on top of those, you're going to put the larger ones. And the larger ones are the Allies expansions, those boards, and the reminders for the different actions, and the rulebook for the leaders. So it is important that you put the smaller boards first. These are the player boards and the monuments and the monument boards. So you'll put all those on the left here. And then you'll put all of the smaller ones, or the larger ones on top. So that's that. The last part that you'll see here is a Fat Pack box. So if you're familiar with any collectible card games like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh!, in this case I'm using a Yu-Gi-Oh! Box, you can buy these boxes that contain a lot of cards, a lot of packs. And I find that this works a lot better because we do have our entire copy of Vindication sleeved. This works a lot better for holding everything that way with all the extra promo cards and everything. Nothing is getting squished, nothing's getting damaged. This keeps everything in a nice order. So I simply just use index cards to label the different types of cards, and you simply just pull them out and they're good to go. So you have the monsters, different companions, your trait cards, everything fits super nicely in one of these Fat Pack boxes. If you go to a local game store, you might be able to find a couple of these for free. Otherwise, you can use an alternative. You can always use a BCW box and trim that down. But in order to fit this in the box, you are going to have to cut the original holders for the cards. So it will make a lot of space, which is great, and it fits one of these Fat Pack boxes perfectly. And it does have this is where the lid lift is coming from, but luckily this fits those cards perfectly and makes sure the dividers don't get crumbled, and the board itself is going to fit really nicely directly around that. And you'll see that when we start putting things away. And that's the simple organization tips here. This is how we store our copy of the game. Without further ado, let's go ahead and pack it up. So first off, let's go ahead and start with the small player boards. Those are going to go on the left here. You're going to have the larger boards, and I'm going to put those on top. You're going to take the player pieces and put them on the left. So you put 2 and 2 and then 1. You'll put the organizer that comes with the game, the Scumbag. And then in that empty space where you only have one of your player components, you're going to put the other Scumbag. It's going to hold all the well tokens. You're going to take all of the rule books, put them here. I guess let's put the, we'll put the solo tokens, the sleeves, and the patch and the sticker here first. There we go. We'll put the solo boards, like so. You'll take the rule books, and then the Myths and Wonders board. And then on top of the player components here, you're gonna put the Odyssey board. And the last thing that we put in is the main board itself, and that's gonna fit really nicely. I don't know if you can see that really well, but it really lines up well with that Fat Pack box, and it's perfectly in line. It works really well. And make sure you do have a silica gel packet in here for freshness. We want to make sure that none of these things warp and things stay nice and fresh. And that's everything. So that's how we store our copy of Vindication, all in one box with no with only a little bit of lid lift. So there is some, you're naturally going to get some. There's just a lot of content for this game. And we have new stuff coming in from the most recent Kickstarter. That's super exciting. We'll have to definitely update this storage container solution when that arrives, but looking forward to that challenge and looking forward to that gameplay content. Very excited. Vindication's a great game, beautiful production. If you have any questions about what we did here, please let me know down in the comments below. I hope some of you found this useful. Thanks so much for watching. Side Game Strong.